Welcome back to Chicago, where we are live from the Democratic Convention and anticipating President Biden's address to the convention this evening. They're doing some housekeeping right now, adopting the platform and congratulating the nominee, Kamala Harris, and her vice presidential pick, Tim Walz. Let's bring in our political panel now, Chuck Rocha and Matt Gorman. Chuck is a Democratic strategist who was a senior advisor to Bernie Sanders' 2020 presidential campaign. And Matt is a Republican strategist who served as a senior advisor to Senator Tim Scott's presidential campaign. Welcome to both of you. Chuck, you are here at the convention, so I'll start with you. Tell me your perception so far on how the convention is shaping up on night one and what you expect to hear from President Biden tonight.
Well, it's a nice reminder to be back in Chicago. I was here as the youngest delegate from the state of Texas in 1996, and I remember this very Coliseum and the energy in the room that night. I think that's what struck me from walking in. It's like an old reunion. I get to see all the old Democratic friends of mine, but I think that's what's really changed in this campaign in the last 30 days is the energy. We were flat on our face 30 days ago. My Democratic friends were worried to death. But today, there's like an injection of energy, and you feel it in this room. You feel it as soon as you walk in. You feel it in focus groups that I'm currently doing. And I think that's the real difference. And tonight, what I'm looking for is to make a real message from the Democrats to the American people of what we're going to do to make their lives better and what distinguishes us between us and the Republicans.
Chuck, I'm glad that this is a full circle moment for you. Matt, I want to ask you about the energy at this convention, because obviously there was a ton of energy at the Republican convention. What you didn't see at the Republican convention is something that you're seeing here, which is for current and former presidents, first ladies, being willing to come up and speak on behalf of the nominee. How much should we read into what that says about the position that that nominee, Donald Trump, finds himself in right now?
Not much. Look, a Republican president, a past Republican president or current, hasn't been to the convention since '08 when George W. Bush did a video address into St. Paul for John McCain. So, look, that's just a fact of life for Republicans right now. And look, I think Chuck's right to an extent, right? Joe Biden was acting as essentially a metaphorical dam on Democratic money and enthusiasm. But when he left the race, it's flowed through. And we're essentially back to where we were in many respects, or expected the race to be in June 26th before that debate. And so I think right now we're going to see it's going to be a tight race either way. But now it's much more of a jump ball than it was, as Chuck points out, a month ago.
Matt, I don't know how much of Caitlin Huey-Burns' interview of the former president you were able to see, but basically she asked him about the frustration on the part of a lot of leading Republicans about his personal attacks on Kamala Harris, her appearance, her intelligence, and he basically said he's not going to change and he doesn't care what they have to say. I would imagine that doesn't surprise you at all at this point.
No, it doesn't. I mean, the man's 78 years old. He's going to do what he's going to do, for better or worse. But look, what I'll say is this. The best attack against Kamala Harris isn't purely policy. It's not purely personal either. It's that she's someone without a core political set of principles. She's a chameleon, as J.D. Vance has put it. And talking about that, I think, is probably the most effective. As we saw, the first thing she puts her name on after walking back a host of positions from 2020 is an economic plan that's been pillared by not just Republicans, but the Washington Post, Jason Furman, who's a former Obama aide. So I think that's telling in and of itself. So follow that path, and we'll see where things go.
Chuck, our CBS News poll over the weekend found that more than a third of Americans still don't really know much about Kamala Harris, her positions, her platform, which means that not only is this convention crucial for defining her, but it's also a huge opportunity for Democrats if they get it right. What can they do to get it right? And what should Harris herself do on Thursday to make sure that at the end of this week, American voters feel like they know who she is and what she stands for?
The Democrats should have a convention 60 days before folks start getting ballots like we're doing right now. This is the most perfect timing in the world, is that On Saturday, the campaign announced that they're going to be spending hundreds of millions of dollars to tell their story to the American people. This week, every press outlet from all over the world is here covering our convention. This is when you make the case because, as Matt knows and I know, we've run lots of campaigns, people start really tuning in right around Labor Day. And that's where we are right now. That's why this sets up so good for Kamala Harris. Matt was right, and I would agree with him that this was 70-30 Trump till a month ago. Now it's back to 50-50. We're in the game. And is it inching more our way every day with the current polling? Sure it is. But it's going to be a tough battle till the end. But we get to introduce ourselves now to the American people with a new slate of folks who have a proven track record. And I think that's what this week is going to be so pivotal for our party.
No question, with the vice presidential nominee Tim Walz speaking on Wednesday, and then Vice President Harris herself, the nominee, on Thursday. Chuck Rocha and Matt Gorman, thanks so much for joining me. We'll be speaking again soon, I know.